Well, Middletown, like just about every other town in the country, is being affected in some ways by certainly the heroin epidemic and substance abuse in general. And this is something that we've been on top of, I think, for a long time, but we're doing everything you can do from a municipal level to try and address this. But it's something that we see more and more. Every week, it seems, we hear about somebody else, another overdose case or another crime that's drug-related, is something. It's really, as the word implies, an epidemic in many respects, certainly criminal, certainly cultural, certainly sociological.
Smack, dope,
H, big H, horse, Helda,
boy, girl,
black,
tar,
diesel,
Shiva, dog food.
junk,
heroin.
It will take everything you've ever loved and it will destroy it.
Heroin comes from a poppy plant which grows in big stalks, and it's got this big bulb on the end of it. They extract the white substance by scraping the bulb with a knife, and this milky substance comes out and they start the refining process.
The opium is refined into morphine, which is further refined into making other forms of heroin.
Most of it's brought from Afghanistan.
And when you're in the West Coast, it usually comes from Mexico.
On the East Coast, there's powdered heroin, which is the gray, brown powder-like substance, and then on the West Coast would be the actual tar heroin, which is like a sticky tar-like substance.
Heroin is usually cut with other things such as either arsenic or other drugs just to make it cheaper, make more money for the dealers.
You never know exactly what they put in it, so it's very, very high risk of OD. One shot, you could die.
Well, one of the most effective bodies that we have in town is the Middletown Drug and Alcohol Alliance. I've been a member of this for 12, 13 years now, and we meet once a month, and they have various programs that they oversee. They're funded by grants through the county and through the state, and it's really a very effective program. They've literally saved people's lives.
It can be smoked, snorted, and shot with a needle.
Started off smoking heroin.
I would just smoke it because I was told that that wouldn't be as addictive as using needles.
I would start out snorting it, and I wouldn't get that rush anymore, that good feeling that you're always searching for every time you want to do or snort heroin. And eventually the rush doesn't happen anymore, so you turn to the needle.
That this is something that municipalities or even counties cannot do on their own. It has to be cut off at the source. I think they have to do a better job, the federal government, of stopping the flow of drugs into this country. That would raise the price and maybe price some people out of the market. Right now, it's so inexpensive, just about anybody can afford it. And I think that's part of the problem, the availability and the low cost of the narcotics.
I was about 17 years old when I first tried it.
First time I was 18.
19 years old.
First time I did heroin, I was 14 years old.
It was a friend of mine that introduced it to me.
My boyfriend at the time.
One of my buddies just came and showed me it, and I tried it. That was it.
I decided, okay, something new, something to make me feel okay with myself and believe I'd be functional.
Started off as fun. Let's get high. But the problem with heroin is you can't just do it one time.
Parents should look for, and I know we get the list out there, changes in behavior, changes in friends, maybe sleeping late, isolated in the room, messy room, all of these things. And when I read the list, it pretty much fits any teenager. But there is a difference. There's certainly physical signs, withdrawn, pale look. Heroin changes a person's physical appearance remarkably. It's incredible how once beautiful young men and women become hollowed out walking corpses. So you can see the physical effects on it, but the behavior, I think, is really what you want to look out for. And I know some of the schools have programs where they do random drug testing for people who have parking permits, who are on teams and everything like that. And a lot of these problems may be identified during those programs.
At first, I didn't really think I was addicted. I just wanted to try it a few times.
But once you do it, it's you start becoming sick. You start going through withdrawal. The cravings are absolutely worse than any other drug that I had ever done.
The sickness is so intense, you would rather die than go through that.
After I started feeling the effects of it, the side effects, the withdrawal symptoms, and I didn't know what was going on.
Hot sweats and cold chills at the same time, like you just can't get comfortable. You try to fall asleep just to make it go away, and you can't fall asleep.
Your whole appearance changes. I would break out a lot. My skin was like yellow. and my eyes were sunken in.
Hallucinations from lack of sleep, loss of appetite.
I really couldn't concentrate, couldn't pay attention.
And as crazy as it sounds, I didn't know what heroin would do to me when I first started doing it. I was just completely ignorant of that. I just thought, oh, it's another drug. I can just do it on the weekends and have fun.
I was on the Board of Education, 1995. And back then, drugs were a real issue, which they are today, probably even more so today. And I was the liaison between the Board of Education and the Middletown Alliance. And once I got really involved with it and I saw the programs and the treatment that we were giving, you know, not only Middletown residents and anyone who walked in the door, I was hooked. It's impacted me in a way that we're helping people. You can't save them all, but you can save them one at a time.
The reality of it is it is a big deal.
I woke up in Long Beach not knowing how I got there, convulsing and like seizing. And, you know, it had like a skyrocketing temperature of 107, just about dead out the door.
I wound up on the street, homeless, nowhere to go. My family didn't know where I was. And I was just in total apathy. I didn't care about anything.
I was living in a car in the middle of winter in Baltimore. Got robbed, got maced in the face. I had nothing. I was freezing and dying alone.
What I've learned about drugs is how devastating it can be to not only the individual, but the family, friends, relatives, and to watch someone come in and really, you know, it hit rock bottom, that they come in and they get help, and they succeed. We've had clients that have actually come to our programs